Hey guys, hope you're all well and having a great day. Before we get into today's video, I feel it would be wrong of me, given the platform I have and my own personal experiences, to not quickly mention that June 2023 is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. If you're struggling, know you're not alone, brothers. We're all in this together. Reaching out and talking about your difficulties is honourable and a courageous act that can be the beginning blocks of a stronger, healthier mindset. Speaking out is healing. Please don't suffer alone. Much love. Now, I'm currently in the middle of working on a bunch of videos, but felt compelled to pause that work in order to make this. Today's video, we're going to be discussing the current state of Chivalry 2. It's undeniable the game is performing well below industry standards, despite today's industry standard at an all-time low. We deserve better as dedicated consumers and long-term supporters of the franchise. At the bare minimum, we deserve better communication and transparency regarding bugs, updates, and hotfixes. For far too long of late, the game is suffering from a multitude of performance issues that seemingly go unanswered for months at a time. And we're currently in a place, at least on console from my experience, where entire game modes are no longer playable. This has been going on for weeks, leading into months since update 2.8, and despite several hotfixes deployed by Borne, things have seemingly only gotten worse. But it wasn't always this way. Let's go back to early Chivalry 2 and how this game set a new standard for the genre.
It's a real advancement of everything the first game does. It's not just a Chivalry 1.5, but it truly is Chivalry 2.
For every warrior, there comes a time when a moment will decide your fate.
Chivalry was always about giving you that perfect medieval battlefield experience.
The original idea behind Chivalry is capturing the fantasy of the medieval Hollywood movies and bringing that to the hands of a gamer.
Combat mechanics are so polished, and a lot of emphasis has been put on making them accessible without losing any of the complexity.
Find yourself in this moment! Ignite the fire of your soul!
In a time where industry leads and devs alike will sell you any lie for profit.
16 times the detail.
Thank you.
I read on the internet that our games have had a few bugs.
Everything the Chivalry 2 devs said here was largely true. I began playing Chivalry 2 during the closed beta on PS4 over 2 years ago, and it has to be said, the game ran better with less issues back then, even on last gen. I built my channel largely off the back of Chivalry 2 PS4. I had few complaints in terms of performance. Given the scope of the game, I was initially impressed it even ran on those consoles, and the game quickly grew in popularity and truly deserved all its plaudits. However, as the game grew in size,
We have officially doubled the content of the game.
so with it came the beginnings of problems that would persist in some cases to this day. With the first major updates edition, House Galancourt, came a host of performance issues. On PlayStation 4, the map would crash at most stages, resulting in a complete game crash. Literally, months passed with no fix for the problem. To this day, the entire first year of Chivalry 2 I played, I never actually fully finished a match on that map. Shocking. Fortunately for me, I upgraded to PS5 after the Tenosian update, and those crashes became a thing of the past. I can only imagine the state of PS4 Chivalry 2 currently, since the addition of larger maps and horses. I truly feel for the souls on last gen. I bet the game's not fit for purpose. Let me know in the comments if you're still playing on last gen and what your general experience is like. Maybe this video can help raise awareness. Someone at Borne takes note.
In one... What? Bullshit!
So last gen aside, let's discuss current gen. I'll preface this by stating I play on PS5. I cannot speak for Xbox nor PC, but I've heard, especially from a console perspective, the game is universally running poorly. Chivalry 2 has never been perfect. Even on the best systems, there's always been niggling issues, odd bugs, and funny glitches. With the dev team behind the game being a somewhat smaller studio, consisting of around 65 devs at the time, fans of the franchise could forgive these issues, as the game still effectively worked as intended and delivered on the experience that was promised. However, As time has passed, I feel the issues, odd bugs, and funny glitches are no longer funny, and frustrations are at an all-time high. In May last year, Chivalry 2's publisher Tripwire was acquired by the Embracer Group, along with countless other publishers and studios. The Embracer Group is a Swedish video game and media holding company. Their MO is typically buying up smaller studios, publishers, and struggling companies in the industry in the hope of turning their fortunes and generating profit. Unfortunately, some of the tactics implemented to achieve this usually involve season passes, battle passes, and general increased monetization of a product that gamers have grown to resent. If you're not familiar, more recently, they're the group who purchased the beloved Lord of the Rings license and are partly responsible for the recent revival of the franchise in the gaming space. We all know how that went. So, to be clear, Tripwire was acquired in May of last year, and the update that followed that fall, following the acquisition, a mere 6 months later, presented a change in the Chivalry 2 business model. In November of that year, we got Update 2.7, The Winter War, which introduced, you guessed it, a Battle Pass. The new armors we'd been customarily unlocking through in-game progression were now behind a paywall, inside the Battle Pass. They even changed the terminology of the pass and called it a Campaign Pass to blur the mind away from the stigma of the industry-maligned Battle Pass culture. It's all very sly and predatory, but this is sadly where we are in gaming right now. Corporate greed is draining the industry's soul, and the art form of making a great video game has been auctioned off for profit. This is a hot topic in the industry right now, and rightfully so. If you've been gaming as long as I have, since they were invented, it's truly on course for a crash. Greed and capitalism is destroying gaming as a whole, just like it did sports and every other pure art form. Anyway, I digress. Following the Winter War update, which I'm assuming made a bunch of profit, you'd think that would be somewhat invested back into the game to continue to expand on its success. This just doesn't seem to be the case. The update that followed the Winter War came over 5 months later, which is longer than usual. There was much anticipation as long-time players were starved of new content, and finally, a month ago, in May, we got Update 2.8, which promised a new Battle Pass, of course, a new siege, new weapon, countless bug fixes, and a new limited time mode. Speaking of which, over a month later, it's still yet to go live. Being one of the long-time players starved of content, I came in hyped and expecting big things, as this also marked the launch of the game on PS Plus. So there was also potentially millions more people interested in the genre. Everything pointed to good times ahead.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
The success of Chivalry 1 blew us all away. It's been 8 years since the first game launched. We always knew that we were going to come back to Chivalry 2. We wanted to come back in a way that was going to move the genre itself forward.
Chivalry 2 is going to feel unlike any other FPS out there.
We want to thank our community for making the game the success that it's been so far, and if you haven't played it yet, now is the best time to check out Chivalry 2.
combat mechanics are so polished.
And it's the game that's going to take us so much further.
More armor, more helmets, more facial styles, more ways to customize that are always free to the player.
Things are so bad currently, the duel and 3v3 matchmaking playlist is literally broken. The last video I posted on the channel was actually a 3v3 video, but this was gameplay from over a month ago, because as you can see here, you simply cannot get into a match. All this, in despite of a couple of hotfixes that supposedly address some of this. The fixes mentioned on the official Chivalry Twitter don't work either, and the current console state of the game is embarrassing in context to how the game launched. But going backwards, guys, despite the game making more money through monetization, it's worrying to say the least. I'm aware of several fixes that did relieve some of the issues on PC, and they're by far experiencing the best version of the game. At the best of times, console players feel irrelevant, due to a lack of communication from Borne Banner towards issues on console. There's rarely ever any transparency, and our version of the game is in rapid deterioration. This has already resulted in a notable decline in players. I'm seeing less and less PlayStation players as the weeks pass, and to be perfectly honest, I don't blame them. I found myself playing less and enjoying less when I do. If these current performance issues persist, you're at risk of losing all the gains you made from the Xbox Game Pass and PS Plus releases. Nobody cares for new content if the game is unplayable. Surely, this is a priority. I can't help but feel this is in due part to a lack of competition in the genre on console. Until Mordhau gets its long-awaited console release, there is no alternative to experience true first-person medieval combat. If there was an alternative, and a threat to Chivalry's crown and place in the field, maybe Borne would be a bit more proactive with addressing console Chivalry problems in order to retain their playbase. This will be interesting as time plays out. Until then, we're at the mercy of Borne's schedule, so hopefully things don't get worse before they get better. I'm sure there's PC Mordhau veterans right now laughing at me, saying Mordhau is no better, but from a console perspective, given the state of Chivalry, it can't hurt our case. Competition in the genre is imperative for the health of it, as is the case with anything in life. To be blunt, the game kind of feels a bit shit to play right now. The lag, high pings, poor hit detection, poor map collision, glitches, bugs, crashes. My stats have been reset multiple times, no explanation. Only my time played has remained. On a whole, things aren't good, and there's no denying there's a direct correlation since the involvement of the Embracer Group in the game's increased monetization. Earnings go up, game performance goes down. Today's industry standard. Now, with all that being said, I'm not walking away from Chivalry. I'll do my best to create content in spite of the game's problems, but my patience is wearing extremely thin. Now don't get me wrong, the whole reason I've made this video is to hopefully draw more awareness to the console state of the game and hope we start to see some fixes. I'm making this video from a place of love. I love Chivalry, and I've been supporting the franchise since the original, which had a truly terrible PS4 port, but I fell in love with the genre nonetheless. I want nothing but success for the game, and hopefully one day Chivalry 3 will continue that success, but the path the game's been walking the last 6 months raises many concerns, and is beginning to truly impact the game negatively on a long-term basis. If you're watching this, and you're one of the new PS Plus players or Xbox Game Pass players, please don't give up on the game. It will hopefully be back to the good days soon. When you can find pockets of stability, the game is still amazing to play. It's just those pockets are becoming rarer and rarer.
It's great motivation.
But that's just what I think. Let me know what your current Chivalry experience is like in the comments below. Please help support this channel by subscribing if you're new here. I make all my content on my PlayStation itself, and it takes a long fucking time, so your support means everything to me. If you enjoy Chivalry, you'll probably enjoy my content. Well anyway, take it easy, have a great day, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next one.